Hello everyone, welcome back to a new video. Today I have with me my cousins Ankit and Molly from US.
Hi.
How is it going, guys? How are you enjoying your trip so far?
Great, very
Loving
great.
it.
Loving to see family, seeing you after a while.
Thank you. So we're going to be talking about your process of, I believe you have invested something in the US. You got a new house, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I just want to walk through and see how exactly you came to this conclusion of, buying a house. We'll start off with the community. Where exactly are you staying right now?
So we live in San Francisco Bay Area, and we live in a city called Castro Valley, which is in the East Bay, right in the middle between San Francisco and San Jose.
Okay, so regarding the community, how did you guys end up moving to this community?
Mainly because Ankit's job was in San Francisco, was in San Jose, and mine was in San Francisco. So we wanted somewhere halfway in between, basically equal commute times. That way we'd be able to handle any family responsibilities and just make it easier on both of us.
We arrived at Castro Valley after quite the search. We were looking for something central between San Francisco and San Jose. My work was closer towards San Jose, but for Molly, options could be in San Francisco. So we needed something more central. So we ended up there after quite the searching.
Oh, okay. So you did search in different communities and then finally you decided to move into this one.
Yes.
So Molly, how far is your work from where you're staying right now?
Now I work from home, but at the time it was before I had an hour and a half commute, and then by moving to Castro Valley, I only had a 30-minute.
Oh, you only had a 30. Okay.
Big savings.
Yeah, no, of course. And when you're doing this commute, if you're living far, then running between places becomes a little bit of an hassle for everyone of us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So coming down to my next question is, how was the entire process? Can you run me down through how you started? What came to your mind is obviously you wanted a house, and then after that, you said you chose the community. Let's say about the houses. How many houses did you see? Did you have a realtor that helped you guys? If you can, walk me through how each and every step happened about your mortgage, and then finally, how much did down payment you had to do? Because I just want my viewers to know, if somebody is planning to buy a house in America, how do they go about the whole process?
Yeah. So we bought our place in the pandemic in 2020.
Nice.
And we were looking up Zillow, and we were just tired of renting and wanted to, get into a house, build equity.
So you were renting close by?
Yeah, we were renting in Fremont, closer to my work.
Okay.
So, and that's actually where we started our search.
Right.
Is let's look at what's around.
Right.
And then we realized quickly things were expensive.
Right.
And we would need to concede a lot.
Yes.
To be able to afford what we would be able to afford.
Right.
So it took us some thinking, and then we got going with a real estate agent.
Okay.
And we found our agent through family.
Okay.
Person happens to be really close friends with my mother's sister.
Right.
And just a wonderful person, and we wanted to work with her.
It also builds a bond when you have somebody known in the family and you're trusting the same person.
Yep.
It builds relation, and then they're going to push you in the right direction and take you through everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's really important to have somebody that you feel like is not only knowledgeable, but somebody you feel has your best interest in mind.
Right.
It's really hard because this is one of the biggest purchases you're ever going to make in your life. So that trust factor really needs to be there.
So then let's talk about your mortgage. So did you run the numbers first? Did you start looking at houses? Or how did it go? How did the whole process go?
Yeah, so I'm a numbers guy, so we needed to first figure out, the loan process, the affordability. So we started with an online vendor to just get a baseline.
Okay.
Punched in a whole bunch of facts and figures and came up with prevailing interest rates.
Right.
But then through our agent, and that was one of the big value adds of our agent in the process, was the person was connected to mortgage lenders.
Okay.
And gave me a list to call. So we engaged with a mortgage lender.
Right.
Uploaded a bunch of info.
Right.
And had just an honest discussion about affordability and what type of home pricing range I should be looking at.
Yeah.
When should I be fitting? What's going to be pushing it?
Yes.
Going to be comfortable.
I think that's the most important thing, because once you know what your numbers are, then you start looking at houses. Otherwise, you don't want those surprises. You like the house.
So figuring out affordability was important. So we were looking at the right home. Don't want to go to a home. Obviously, the first time home buyer, emotions kick in.
Yes.
You start envisioning yourself in this place and things you would do. But having an affordability range available helped us to be just use our time well, focus.
That's very important actually. When you're a first time home buyer, you're always looking at so many options and suddenly you're confused what you should buy and what not. But seeing you, like you were mentioning, you had everything in place, you know, you were focused on what you wanted.
Right.
That makes a huge difference.
Right. So we went with the lender, and person was very comfortable to work with, and gave us a good breakdown and really made it simple for a new person off the street trying to get into this space to work through. So then we had a range.
Okay.
And from there, we worked with our agent to figure out a sorting list of parameters.
Right.
Now,
kind of a checklist.
A checklist.
Where you have everything, you are ticking marking what you want, what you don't want. So that's very important too.
And it took us 3-4 weeks to put together our must-haves.
Yes.
And it took a lot of the initial list that we had to what it eventually ended up being was completely
different. I think that's usual. What I've experienced with my clients is when you start looking at properties, then you sometimes realize, oh, this is not even what I wanted.
Right.
I really want these things, but certain things are there that you don't want to compromise on, and then certain things you can, move around things.
Right. Like initially we thought, okay, for a garage, let's put a 1-car garage. I think we can make do. But then when you start to add in hobbies, storage, and you're really true to your needs, realized we needed to change that.
So how many houses did you go through? Like, did you see a couple of them in different communities?
We saw like basically a grouping of maybe I think 10 houses in different neighborhoods around.
Right.
Just to get an idea of whether we like not only the neighborhood, but then also, okay, if this fits what we think is our must-haves, would this be a good fit for us? And that's when we needed to revise the list from like, okay, maybe not 1 car, maybe 2 car.
Right.
Or, we know that we don't want to live anywhere where it's not very family friendly. We wanted more of a walkable environment.
Right.
So in our process, we looked at about 10 houses in different neighborhoods, and different types of houses that kind of fit our must-have parameters. And then from that list, we were able to narrow down what neighborhoods we liked, didn't like, and then also what we felt would be things that we didn't want on our parameters. Like it must be kind of more of a family-friendly neighborhood and like walkable situation, or we really wanted to go from a 1-car to a 2-car garage. These were kind of important factors, just getting those initial 10 houses out of the way to kind of narrow it down.
Right. And did you face any multiple offer situations while this process? Like, did you put offers, and was there any situation where your offer didn't get accepted, or do you want to share any experiences how you put the offer on the one you finally got?
So for that was kind of the beginning of our process to figure out what we wanted. We didn't want to put an offer if we didn't think it was going to be like an absolutely good fit.
Right.
And the problem with the Bay Area, there's a lot of bidding wars. So as soon as you put in an offer, it's almost like there's 6 or 7 other offers that come behind. So you really want to be sure before you put that offer in, because you just don't want to get into that bidding war situation to begin with.
Yeah. And I would just add, so it was quite the journey to actually put our first offer in, and a lot of it was we were just not able to find a spot that was affordable. And or we had to concede too many of our must-haves.
Yes.
And you just got to be true to it. It's not working. So what we realized then is, well, we need to change the market's not working for you. Change the local market. Go look in some other place.
No, that totally makes sense. When you're fighting in a multiple offer situation, it's better to maybe move out a little bit and then see what communities are there where you don't have to face those challenges.
Right.
Because during pandemic, even in Canada, you had a lot of houses which were going in multiple offers. There was a bidding war, which sometimes didn't make any sense. So that's how even I advised my clients to maybe look at other communities where you don't have to have that situation.
Yeah, the other thing too on the 10 sample that I guess we learned along the way was obviously the first few were painful because you walk into this home, you're expecting to
Be the
walk out
best.
with the keys and be the best, and clearly that's not reality.
Right.
So, but what it taught us though is to help manage our emotions through reading the disclosures.
Yes.
So some of the houses we loved had pretty serious flaws that were on our must-haves or must-not-haves
Yes.
list
Yes.
that we felt was going to be a lot more productive for us to get the 300-page document up front
Yes.
before we go check out the property. So then we modified our process to asking for the PDF,
Right.
to control Fing a whole bunch of
No,
keywords,
100%.
to then tailoring the places we want, because we wanted to go to places not just off the search parameter list, but also having done homework around
Yes.
it not having serious flaws in it, and that I helped a lot in managing and mitigating some of the emotions that were
Obviously, you don't want surprises when you move into the house and you find out, oh, certain things in the house cannot be changed.
right.
That's a big red.
The other thing is, as you go into the offer process, at least in the Bay Area, putting an offer with contingencies would just be very difficult to
So
get
just
you to
for
close.
my viewers who are watching from Canada, contingency is similar to the conditions that we put on the offer.
Right. So if you at least in the market we were working with, if you had put a inspection contingency, you're competing with many offers with no
100%.
contingencies.
I agree on that. Yes.
So doing your due diligence is really important for the deal.
Right.
And the good thing is there are disclosures upfront provided by the seller. You got to be careful with what you're reading over there. You haven't conducted the audit yourself, but the document though was very helpful in providing very important info around fire zones, hazard zones, foundation challenges, electrical, and then you have to make your conclusion around, is this something you're willing to work with
Yes.
or not?
Very important.
But I did feel like doing that PDF up front really helped make our process a little bit more productive.
There was one house in particular that we really loved. It was beautiful. It was in Fremont. It was in the right location. It was gorgeous. And then when we read on the disclosures that it had a fire zone, basically it was a high risk of fires.
Okay.
So then,
That's a red flag. That's
yeah,
right away a red flag.
Red flag. And we were like, maybe we should put an offer, maybe we shouldn't put an offer. And we almost did.
Okay.
And then the next year, the whole hillside burned. So,
oh yeah, I remember the fire. Wow.
Yeah. So if we had put it on that house, we probably would have lost it all.
Yeah.
So disclosures for us were
Yes.
really
That's
important.
That's why disclosures are very important. This is a live example in front of you guys, so it's very important to read all your disclosures. I will always advise you to do that.
I remember when we went through that house and we called the insurance company because we obviously were concerned,
Right.
and they had mentioned that they would not insure that
Wow.
area property, which is what had us pull out of the deal. So there's the risk
Yes.
rewards.
Yes.
You're gonna have to kind of do your diligence and figure out what risk you're willing to be comfortable with.
So would you give some credit to your agent as well? for
Absolutely.
putting you in your right place?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if anything, it also made it productive because, I value time and kind of wanted to move the search more to something focused versus just going to
Going to random
different
houses
properties.
and
It's good to diverge initially to see what options are available, but eventually you need to find a point of convergence to honing in on what you're looking for. And I think the agent in providing the PDFs in working with the sell side was really valuable.
So finally you moved into the house. Describe me how do you feel? Describe me about the house. What age is it? How many bedrooms you have?
So it's an older home. It's built in 1966.
Okay.
It's a 2-level house. Garage on the bottom floor. Upstairs is 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a kitchen and then a nice big backyard for our dog.
Nice.
And it has this deck that basically wraps around the whole house, so you can walk out anywhere, look at the flowers, hang out, have a cup of chai. It was really just an open concept house that really attracted us to it. Just
So that was something that attracted you guys to finally where you are right now.
yeah, absolutely. It's that big window in the front where you could look out at the bay. It was like we just knew that was our house when we saw it.
So for this particular house, did you put were there any other offers as well? Or was your offer the only one?
So definitely there were other offers. The thing was our agent was really good in finding out what other offers may be there and who was in on the deal. We had a situation where the seller and one of the buyer agents were the same,
Okay.
and it was for a cash investor.
Okay.
So it was a weird situation because the cash investor was going to come in and lowball. He had already communicated that he wanted to basically buy the house all in cash for $100,000 less than the asking price.
Okay.
It was really just not a good situation because the lady who was selling the home was older. She needed to go into nursing care. So it seemed like he was really taking advantage of the situation. And our real estate agent clued us in, and it scared off a lot of other buyers having this guy come in.
Right.
But our real estate agent was like, you know what? Try it, put in an offer, go for it. And we just said, you know what? We'll pay the asking price. We're not scared of this guy. We're going to go forward with it. On the day actually of when the offers were due, he communicated that he would put in the asking price all in cash. So he upped his price completely. At that point, we really needed our agent's advice and we needed to figure out what would be our next step.
Right.
Our agent recommended that we write a letter, tell the seller how much we love the property, how we would keep the property in good maintenance, how we like the neighbors around, we would be a good neighbor to them, and really continue on her legacy.
We meant it too.
And we meant every word of it. And I think because of that, as well as we put in slightly over ask at that point,
Right.
and we demonstrated that we were somebody who was going to be trustworthy,
Right.
that really got us the offer.
Yeah, I would add to that as well in that we put in a little bit over ask, and we also worked with our mortgage lender at that point, who we had a good relationship with, in trying to get them to work with the seller side to confirming that, if they're willing to wait a little bit, which was 14 days
Right.
or so, I forget now, but short time.
Short time.
You'd be getting a little bit more versus this all cash deal.
Right.
And that added a lot of value, and the mortgage lender being willing to do that because that demonstrated the strength of our package and that there would be no surprises or holes.
Yeah.
So that also really helped the closing process. And bottom line is eventually there is a bit of luck. It was our first offer, and
it does.
we found out
What I've seen personally is if a house is meant for you, you will get it, no matter what.
Right.
I have seen situations where somebody else's offer is accepted. If my clients wants that house, there've been situations where the other party didn't get it, and ultimately my clients got the house.
Right.
So it's all about.
So it was our first offer, and it went through and worked out. And that's what we did. Well, one thing that was important to us is we did not want to get into a bidding war, especially with somebody with a much deeper pocket than us. We also could only afford 10% down at that point. And that was available in the pandemic era.
Doing that 10% was the lender's requirement, or like
that's the lowest
you can go
down that you
for
could
any
do.
down payment.
So I was in grad school at the time,
Right.
and spending a decent chunk of money to go to school in California to get my MBA, and had to balance that with the home purchase. So 10% was as much as I could go for the home price that we were looking for.
Nice.
And so we had to be very careful around bidding wars and also the risk then of if the loan were in a close and who would
That's a huge
pay the
risk.
difference
That's
in
a huge
equity.
risk. If you don't have that in place, it could go sideways.
Right.
And that's what you don't want.
Right. Yeah. But hey, I agree. We love the place. Our dog loves running on the deck. Also, with an older home being slightly cheaper priced, it really gives you the creativity
Yes,
to
that's true.
add.
Yeah.
And I got good advice from a friend, actually my real estate agent's husband, who we just know on a family basis, is to live in there for a year.
Yes.
And figure out what you really want to change, and where do you want the TV, and what do you want to make your main bedroom, and where do you want the couches?
It's like one step at a time. You enter
Right.
this house, even if you want to make the next one, you know what things you want there,
Right.
what you don't want. So
Right.
you're still trying to experiment and see what works for you and what not.
Right. So, of course, if you move in ready, it's less disruptive through
Yes,
time.
yes.
But the model we had is we just moved in as is and kind of lived in there, make some initial tweaks
Yeah.
of the must-haves that need to be done.
Yes.
But then really through time, in about only a year, maybe year and a half is when we undertook the first project. And the nice thing then is as your home's building equity, you're adding value.
That's true. Yeah.
I felt good about that process versus buying in a move-in ready high
Buying
price
something
point.
high price point, yeah, and then
And
you
in
wait
the
for
hope-
it to go up again.
And in the hope that you're really going to be married to this configuration that you
Yes.
bought into.
Yes. I really like the cozy feeling of the older houses as compared to the new ones.
Yep.
I feel the new ones are big and loud, but the older houses are really cozy. They have a nice feeling to it.
Right.
And then you can make your own changes and
Right.
keep doing that. You've spoken about the good stuff. Now I want to know what challenges you faced in this entire process.
I think the first challenge we had was getting on the same page as a couple as to what we wanted and what we didn't want. you know.
Right. Okay.
I
That's quite common. Yes. Yes. Yes.
that was the biggest thing, is figuring out, like, I know that for me it was really important to have a good kitchen, to make sure that there was a good space for entertaining,
Right.
and then he really wanted a good space for storage and garage for a lot of his hobbies.
Right.
And it's hard to find both of those things in the same house sometimes.
Right.
So you have to figure out, okay, what's your priorities as a couple?
Mm.
How do you see yourself living?
Right.
Are you the type of couple that has a lot of guests over?
Yes.
Are you the type that really wants to have a good space for kids?
Yes.
And so it's not only that, it's also like your time horizon. Are we staying here 10 years? Are we staying here 20 years?
Yeah.
You
How long are you going to stay in that place?
Exactly. And like, do you want to start having kids now? Or maybe wait and try another house later?
Yeah.
So really getting on the same page was really the first set of challenges.
Right.
And that's when we took the 3 to 4 weeks to kind of figure out what are our must-haves and what are our, nice to have.
Nice to have. Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, so I had grown up in an apartment my entire life, and I was also renting before this. So, the idea of a house was quite the step for me. And I had a portion in the process where I just needed to take a break and reset, because I felt like I was not ready to move forward with the commitment. The market at that time was a little volatile in the pandemic, and I
Right.
was worried about, is there going to be a crash and whatnot. But thankfully, the turning point for me that year was the earnings reports had come out and everybody was doing well, and seems like things were moving in the right direction, and then re-engaged. But I thought it was important to be committed, which is why when I put a pause, talk with my agent, I was really.
There were
I don't know if
times
it's
where you got
ashamed,
confused
but-
that you want to do it or not, and
Yeah, and I don't know if it's a shame, because it's like the person's invested all this time in you, so I kind of felt
Yes.
bad, but at the same time, I want to be truthful about if your heart's not in it,
yes,
pause,
it's
gather
very
yourself.
important to be open up to your agent and see what exactly is going on in your mind,
Right.
because sometimes you may be thinking something which won't work out for you, but the agent knows that making that right move could be the best choice.
Right, so we actually took a break for a bit,
Okay.
and then re-engaged, and thankfully we didn't miss out on much in that process. But that was a period for me I needed to get through. I think the second challenge was also, we're both competitive, so you go to a bunch of open houses, and then you see these wonderful properties all not work out for you,
Yeah.
and
Try to
also-
see what other options are available.
yeah,
at
and,
the same.
yeah, exactly. And when you come back home, it's like, man, this is what could have been in that place. And that was some getting used to in terms of rejections. And
You always have that thought, oh, maybe
yeah,
I'm taking the right step or no.
yeah. So we never made any formal offers, but just realizing that eventually we found things in the disclosures or whatnot that was deal breakers. It was really a testing moment of how true you were to what you wrote down as your must-haves, and how much were you willing to bend. And
Nice.
We were pretty disciplined about that, I would say.
Yeah.
But that was all, an internal battle that you need
Yeah,
to go
yeah.
through.
It's always very important to stay focused on what you want and
Right.
not getting diverted too much.
Right.
That's where the whole confusion starts if you start to divert. And
The other challenge was, I think our must win was a single family home. So that by definition in the Bay Area made it really challenging. That it took quite the searching, quite the neighborhood narrowing to get to. So, those were challenging points in the search. I think financials, like I mentioned, we were working on a 10% down. So we also had that kind of headwind of what we were able to afford. But the good thing is, when you lay all these constraints down and all these challenges down and are true to them, to me, I'm a believer that some doors do open, and you just got to make sure you're in pulse with the market and act quickly.
Perfect. Thank you so much, guys, for your time. Thank you so much. And I hope this information was useful for you. And I think that's it for this one. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.
Thanks.